So I want to do this quick video. Hopefully it inspires a few of you that might be having inappropriate thoughts. I'm right at the bottom of the barrel, if you like, to just kind of inspire you a little bit to hang on in there and keep pushing forward and trust in the process of what is actually happening to you. You're currently in a situation where you are on the brewing pot for everything that's to become of you. You're creating space, you're making space for the man or the woman that you actually are and always have been, but you didn't know it because you were caught and trapped in the matrix like most of us, and the matrix ultimately is the withholding of the truth from the masses. That's really all it does. It's an illusion that's created in our head of how we're told life should be in order for us to be successful, happy and accepted, validated and loved. We are told how we need to be for that. The fact that we are told how we need to be is what causes us all the damage. That's why I always say, when we look back on ourselves, we can't really blame ourselves for anything that has gone on. We can be responsible in certain areas if we want to say that, but we can't really blame ourselves. Anyway, moving on. Where I am at the moment, which is in the Peak District, the Roaches, one of my favourite places in the world. I have a real soft spot for the Peak District, and that's because when I was really suffering badly in my dark night of the soul, this is one of the places that I spent hundreds of hours on my own in a tent, and just at the bottom of the little mountain there. I'd spent a couple of nights there on my own, didn't see anyone, or people sometimes walk past, but I didn't speak to anyone or anything like that. And I'd done that lots here and in other places in the Peak District. And I'd broken down loads here, and I was really in quite a bad way. I didn't know if I had a future. The thoughts that I were getting were that bad that I kind of was very, very unsure if I was going to be here or not at this point. So I'm going to put up a photo that I took around about that time. I can remember the actual day of this, but I'll put the photo up. You can actually see in the photo the pain in my face. My face is swollen basically from just being in pain, from crying, from this whole realization that my entire life had been one long struggle for absolutely no reason at all other than to serve the matrix and what I had been told I needed to do. But whilst having been told what I needed to do, there was also the side of me that was always called a rebel and an anarchist or a conspiracy theorist, because I also always had kind of my own way. That's why I was always in trouble. I knew something wasn't right in life. I knew things around me, everything was around me. I always kind of knew things were just not right, that we all go along with stuff, but I never wanted to speak out about that, because ultimately you're then an anarchist or, you know, a conspiracy theorist, and nobody wants to be called those things because nobody wants to not be accepted. Hence why I'm always saying to you guys, it's so important that we self-validate, because when we don't need validation of other people, we become fearless. And when we're fearless, I know I've said this before, but I'm going to carry on. When we become fearless, we do the things that we want to do because we have no fear of failing and then being judged by people. We can fail and then we can look at that like, well, that was a learning lesson of not to do it that way, let's do it this way instead. That's really all it is. But I'm going to leave the photo up, and the reason I want to do it is because someone had mentioned to me that they're in a really, really bad place, and I thought, okay, I want you guys to know that no matter how bad it gets, it can be turned around. That's period. There is no ifs, there's no ands, there's no buts. It can be turned around. It's just hard and it's ugly and it's horrible. And I wish it didn't happen, but it does. And that's the whole point why I wanted to start this channel. And that's why I called the channel Truth Be With You. The truth is in you, and take it with you wherever you go. The trouble is that we're in with the dark night of the soul. Stuff needs to come off of us first. It needs to be, we need to recognize the depth of what we went through, the brainwashing that has happened to us, and actually how dangerous that is in the whole of humanity. We need to realize how deep that brainwashing was before we can then move forward. And at the moment, in the dark night of the soul, in that depressive, anxious state that we're all in, that vulnerability period, we cannot see the way out because we are still attached, but yet we can still want to go forward that way. But why I wanted to put that particular photo up, and I'm sorry if I'm digressing a bit, it's because this one's a little bit, I kind of don't like talking about myself in these videos too much unless it's, I need to say an example or something like that. But this one is purely about my little experience, but it's hopefully going to help to inspire some of you. But why I wanted to do that was because when I was in that particular place, when I actually thought there was no hope, that was when I had to make the choice between, I either don't continue, I terminate myself, or I make a decision to get better. The fact that I was able to rationalize that in my head, the fact that I was able to make the decision, or to make a decision that I knew I had to make a decision, that told me I was still rational. And that everything that had happened, everything that I was seeing, as much as it was causing me so much pain, like everything that I'd done in life, everything that had happened in life, and the whole existence of everyone else's misery, being able to see that was hard. But also it's kind of in this period of, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't know if my mind had split, if I was insane, or if all of this was real, if the Matrix was real. And so but the fact that when I was able to make that decision, I knew I was holding on to some kind of rational thought. And it was at that moment that I made that decision, which I've said before in the other videos, that I'm going to get myself better. I don't care how I do it. I don't care how painful it gets. I don't care how scary it gets and how vulnerable and exposed I need to be. I'm going to get myself better. I'm going to journal this. I'm going to learn this like no one else has ever learned this before. And then I'm going to do videos on it. I didn't say videos. And then I'm going to get that message out. That was what I said. Then it was a little while later than I thought, actually videos on YouTube would be a great idea for something like that. Just had to then muster up the courage to actually do them. So I'm going to release a little photo up as I'm talking. I'm going to have to try and learn how to do that quickly. But guys, you can see the pain in my face on the video. You can see how kind of swollen up I am, and my eyes and there. I've got a bald head, by the way, underneath here, so some of you aren't shocked because I won't have my hat on. But I'll put that video, that photo up, so that you can see how low someone was and where they've come back from. Because I always kind of want you guys to know that I have been in that situation, and I did pull myself back from that. And the reason this video's kind of come about is because I spoke to someone, like I say, who told me they were having those horrible thoughts about themselves of not being here. And I thought, actually, maybe I need to tell people how deep mine was at that point, and that I brought myself back. And I hope that inspires you, and that's why I'm leaving this video. But anyway, guys, I did do you another video the other day, but I couldn't get the data to upload it, but I'm going to do this one instead. I feel like this is more important. So that there is called Hen Cloud. It's in a place called the Roaches in the Peak District. I have a real soft spot for the Peak. I have the soft spot for England, Wales and Scotland in general. But this place, this is where a lot of the breaking down, a lot of the pain happens. So I'm always loving being, I'm getting a lump in my throat now, so I'm always loving being back here and kind of remembering how far forward I've moved. Anyway, that video, as usual, went on much longer than I thought it was going to. What were we on there? I don't know, 8 minutes, 9 minutes, that's not too bad. Anyway, guys, I love every one of you. I hope you're all okay. I hope you all had a lovely weekend. I'm going to be staying up here until I decide I don't want to stay here anymore, and then I'm going to do whatever else I feel like doing. So anyway, I love every one of you, and peace. Hope you will have a great week. Cheers, guys.